evening, photographers. In more than one video, I've told you that the most important skill is not mastering a camera's settings. Your most important photography skill is composition and, your two most important skills are composition and timing. Your camera can get the exposure right, although maybe it needs a little help, so you adjust the exposure compensation. And it can get the focus right. Again, sometimes with a little help selecting the focus point. But the camera can't compose the shot, nor does it know the exact right moment to press the shutter key. So how do you master these two skills? How do you get a pleasing composition and snap the shutter at exactly the right time? Well, a good photograph, even if you're not sure what it's going to be, starts with intent. What story do you want to tell? What mood do you want to capture? If understanding intent is too art school analytical for you, think about the things that interest and intrigue you. Things that make you stop and look. Things that you want to observe. Another way to think about this is, what inspiration will you find while you're out on the streets or in a park canoeing down the Humber? What things intrigue you or interest you? What sights or experiences would you like to share with others? So there's already enough photography that includes the restrictive and prescriptive view of typical subjects, whether portraits or landscapes. And while it's difficult to think about how you see things differently than others, sharing your unique impressions of your experiences on this planet can provide a rich and unlimited source of creative inspiration. I'm pretty sure that the Greek philosopher Heraclitus wasn't canoeing when he said everything flows and nothing stays. Maybe he was thinking of Instagram. Photography is a powerful way to retain the past, to stop time, to hold on to those brief seconds of our lives. And I called it a skill earlier, and while knowing when to click the shutter might be understood as a learned behavior, mostly it's not. Let your instinct, your inspiration, your awareness guide you to the decisive moment for your photograph. What is the decisive moment? Well, let's imagine someone about to jump over a puddle of water. What's the decisive moment? When he's about to jump, with the suspense of the impending future, or a fraction of a second later, while suspended over his shadow in the puddle, when the splash becomes all but inevitable, or a fraction later, when the splash creates its flower of water droplets. Now, maybe you know the picture I'm thinking of. Did Cartier-Bresson capture the decisive moment? Would a second earlier have been too soon? A second later, too late? How many decisive moments in that action? How many potentially interesting images? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Now, whatever your decisive moment is, be ready. The Canadian philosopher Wayne Gretzky said, "Skate to where the puck will be," which speaks to anticipation. But Gretzky also said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Those two thoughts can help you get to the decisive moment for your images. Be prepared, anticipate, don't hesitate. And we have a powerful tool that wasn't available to Gretzky or Cartier-Bresson: burst mode. You could get all three images. And what an interesting triptych that would be. Now, what's the best way to compose an image? Should you turn on the framing guidelines, the horizontal level? Maybe, but those kind of tools should assist, not dictate. If you follow a formula, don't let it suppress your originality, your way of seeing, your interpretation of the scene. Thank goodness Gary Winograd didn't bother with either of those framing assists, or we'd miss the sense of movement and action in his images. Maybe you've seen famous photographs that have been dissected with lines and rectangles and triangles with description about how the viewer's eye is led from one element in the image to another. Ugh. That takes all the fun out of photography. And I'm pretty sure that no photographer, not even Cartier-Bresson, took the time to analyze his images to that degree before snapping the shutter. Sometimes analysis takes all the fun out of it. And sometimes the decisive moment comes and goes more quickly than you can analyze. Now, if you do worry about rules of thirds and leading lines, you may end up frustrated. I'm not saying it's all instinct and intuition, but that plays a role. And neither of those is a fixed skill. Both can be improved. And I'm not sure who first said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. But there is truth in that humor. The best way to improve your photography is to take pictures. And if your taste and judgment can lead you to determine the good from the bad, the interesting from the dull, the arresting image from the rest, then you are on your way to internalizing the scenes, situations, and the actions that make for powerful images. The practice of photography is like many other skills, with the possible exception of golf. You can and you will get better with practice. But don't be confined by better either. Let the thrill of trial and error, of discovery, improve your skills. The graininess of a high ISO, the slight motion blur in the puddle jumper's foot, an uncentered subject may add and not detract from your composition. Although you can be successful taking candid shots, whether that's friends and family or strangers on the street, most photographers are not above giving the scene a little help, taking a model along, or asking for a little assistance, a look or a pose. I'm afraid not all images are as candid as we imagine. If the scene and the setting is good, but the lighting isn't great today, make a note, come back another time. Patience and persistence are two primary photography skills. If you have found a nice setting where the light is good and the shadows help balance the image, wait for the right moment, the right pedestrian to complete the scene. Or come back tomorrow, just after it's rained. Finally, don't give up on an image just because you didn't get it quite right. Although I hate fix-it-in-post thinking, there's a lot of potential between the snap and the final print. Cropping, adjusting exposure, and color grading can do a great deal to improve an image. Now, if there's a glimmer of brilliance in your photo, take a few minutes to polish it to diamond status. A last note, be a responsible citizen. Remember to consider the impact of your actions on others. If there are boundaries you would like others to observe when taking photographs that include you, observe those for others. And thanks for joining me today. I love this bit of nature in my backyard. I'm grateful for the first inhabitants of this land. Their stewardship enables me to enjoy it with you today. This is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And I did use an Anishinaabe greeting at the beginning of this video because it's such a lovely thought. The greeting, Ani, literally means, I see your light. I appreciate your time and your light today. If you wish to subscribe to this channel, there are buttons below, but I'm particularly grateful to my members who enable me to produce videos without the need for sponsorships and mid-roll ads. And membership is also an option available to you. Midwich, stay safe. I'm pretty sure that the Greek philosopher Heraclitus wasn't canoeing